It's been a blessing to be able to talk to our community, talk to people who have been part of our community, and talk to people who might be interested in being part of our community at some point in the future. And so, honestly, we got into YouTube because of the lockdowns in 2020 and because we couldn't be together for a point of couple months in 2020 because of the very real concern that people had about the pandemic. But after we did this, we kind of learned something. We learned that there were people who no longer lived in the neighborhood. And as they no longer lived in the neighborhood, but if they could end up looking into being involved with our community in upstate New York, this was an opportunity for them to get close. And so as a result, we not only continued broadcasting our services, because after all, we had gotten the equipment, we had developed the expertise, and we had built an infrastructure so that we could. But in addition to this, I found out that it would be useful if we were in communication. And so we started doing the videos that we shoot. Now, a friend of mine who used to live in the area but then ended up moving to Colorado ended up saying to me, "You got to tell everybody to like and subscribe. It'll feed the algorithm." I know that we're using YouTube, and I know that YouTube has a certain amount of a game. And I know that with YouTube, the more people who subscribe, the more videos you put up, the more people who have an interest in the content, that this is going to end up being something that potentially could be monetized. This is something that could potentially end up having an impact on a greater number of people. This is something that anybody who's putting energy into doing the work necessary to bring these videos to life would be gratified if more people are touched, and if more people are changed, and if more people are interested. So, when my buddy says to me, "You got to tell people to like and subscribe," I've been resistant. And I'll tell you why I'm resistant. I'm resistant because I really believe that there is opportunity for us to have a connection. And first and foremost, I'm making these videos for people with whom I have had a connection. And sometimes my connection is a current connection as part of the community. Sometimes my connection with the people who watch this is I have been involved with retreats with them in the past. Some of the folks who I'm going to have a connection with will look at this to figure out whether they're going to have a connection with me or not in the future. Some of the connection in terms of people is done in a variety of different ways, but I didn't get into this really to end up being commercially viable. And also, there's some folks who take a look at the algorithms and go, "Oh, that's a video that lots of people were interested in. I should make lots more videos like that." And I'm looking at that, and when one of these videos hits 2 or 4 or 10 times the amount of views that other things have hit, I really am gratified about that. I'm really grateful for that. I'm excited about this. But this doesn't mean that I'm going to change what we're doing on a regular basis in terms of being part of community. Because this is my sharing my heart with those who are walking with me in terms of moving towards the light, moving towards Messiah, moving towards truth, moving towards things that are important and significant. And if I end up getting caught in the trap, I would describe it as, of trying to become more and more commercial and having a broader and broader audience to speak to. And if I'm trying to manipulate what is going on in the general public as reflected by YouTube, I'm really concerned that what's going to end up happening is this is no longer going to be a pursuit for truth. This is no longer going to be a pursuit for life. This is going to be no longer a pursuit for spirituality. This is no longer going to be a pursuit for abundance. So I'm resisting asking people to like and subscribe, although ultimately my friend is right. It would help. My friend is right. If more people like and if more people subscribe, then the video is recommended to a broader range of people. If more people end up leaving engagements because they like what has gone on in the video, this is a good and an excellent thing. And so in terms of this, I'm kind of two minds. On a certain level, if there are more people who want to join the tribe and who want to get involved, and if the views go up, and if we're touching people's hearts, and if people are reflecting and thinking on things, that'd be a good thing. But at the same time, I'm not willing to chase ambulances. I'm not willing to be a lawyer who's looking for someone who has just had something bad happen to them for the point of making finance or for the point of making personal gain out of this. So I guess the answer is yes, if you like and subscribe to this channel, and many people have subscribed, far more than I actually thought were going to, honestly. And the videos have had a growth, and I'm hoping that the growth in terms of the people who have liked the videos indicates that since we started making them, we're getting better at this, and that this is an area in which we're learning how to speak to people. We're learning how to encourage spirituality. We're learning how to discuss truth in a fashion where people who come from a philosophical vantage point and people who come from a theological vantage point can find this a center point which is useful and helpful. I'm hoping that in the midst of this, those who are pursuing spiritualities will end up finding an encouragement, a buttressing, a supporting structure to the spiritualities that they're pursuing. I'm hoping that for some folks who are coming from different vantage points, that being a Messianic Jew will be something that's helpful for folks who are Jewish but don't necessarily embrace Yeshua as Messiah. And I'm hoping that those who are Protestant or who are Catholic, who are from different Christian traditions, will also find that this is a perspective that ends up being helpful to them as they develop their worldview and pursue understanding the Jewish component of what happened in the Hebrew Scriptures and in the New Covenant, and interacting with somebody who is part of that tradition and who thinks from that vantage point, but who appreciates people from all sorts of different spiritual vantage points as well. I'm hoping that as we are broadcasting and as we are sharing and as we are together, that what ends up happening is that people who are not from a classically organized spiritual discipline will look at this and will consider some of the things that are said, and that this will open them up to a possibility of starting the journey of finding their own spirituality useful, productive, and interesting. So whether we end up having a large audience or a small audience, whether 20 people watch these videos or 1,000 people watch these videos, which is kind of the range that we have right now, I'm hoping that this is going to be something that is going to move forward those who are so engaged. I'm hoping that this is going to be fruitful and this is going to be effective. I'm hoping that the liking and subscribing to this that you do will end up helping the channel do what it needs to do. But that's not my primary concern at this point in time, turning this into a commercially viable juggernaut. Instead, I'm far more interested in the spiritual growth that we go through 1 by 1, 2 by 2, in groups of 3 and 5 and 7, in groups of folks who see each other on a regular basis, and in groups of people who are aspirational to see each other at some point in the future. Shalom.